Good morning, everyone. I hope that you are ready to hear some really great stuff. And something that Rachel said before the just beforehand when we were visiting is how many people do you know? How many times maybe you yourself went into some kind of program and then you get out and you're left on your own. You don't know what to do next. You don't know how to walk it out in daily life. I think that is a big, big thing to people. And so she'll tell you what she does, but I think this is a niche that we need, some long-term hand holding for people as they move into the next phase of whatever they're doing. So she'll explain what she does and how she does it. But I think this is very, very needful. But I am Carol Henderson. I have Life by Design. I help you to up your nutrition IQ, to make the second half of your life better than the first, and also to help with some of the things that Rachel deals with, because what she deals with that she'll tell you about is oftentimes a nutritional lack. I mean, we've had some mirac- miraculous stories in this field due to changing people's nutrition, upping their nutrition.
Mhm.
So that's something that I'm very excited to bring what she does to the table and tell you about that. But if you remember, we always want our lives to spiral up and not spiral down. And those spirals are your choice. It's your choice whether to get better or worse. It's always your choice. So no one can make you do anything. It's your choice.
True.
Okay, all of that said, I want to introduce my amazing co-host, Barbara Ellison.
Yeah.
She's a transformational coach, and she met Rachel and invited her on the show. So, Barbara, take it away.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Thoughtful Thursdays. As Carol says, I'm Barbara Ellison. I'm a transformational life trainer because I am all about aging gracefully. Because it's not about looking like a 30-year-old. It's about being your best ever version of you. And having the mental, the physical, the financial resources to enjoy the rest of your life. And that's what I'm all about. So I was really grateful to be, Rachel and I had a great conversation. I knew within the first 5 minutes, I said, "Ooh, I'm going to have you on our show." Because you know what? One of the biggest things is find the people that are aligned with how you want to do business and how you want to be known in the workforce, in the workplace, the marketplace, whatever you want to call where you are. And it is so essential, so important. And I truly believe that we can all rise together to help make the world a better place. So, Rachel, I am so grateful that you are here, that you were able to put your thinking cap on and you're coming to help our audience. So
Yeah,
how are you doing morning?
I am doing wonderful. I am so excited to be here and chat with you ladies, and I love everything you said. And I am just meeting Carol today, and I think we are so aligned, and you are so right. You knew in the first 5 minutes. And my mentor always says that choice is a powerful thing and suffering is always optional. And I think that's such a powerful statement because everything in life is a choice. Even choosing not to do something is a choice.
Is a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
I love that statement.
Yeah. I had the privilege of doing a workshop, and it was just such fun to hear that we were talking about mindset and having a mind shift and then going into mind flow. And it was just so fun to hear everybody's take on those three words. What does it, and it means something different, so that's because that was what the workshop was about. What does mindset mean to you? What does mind shift mean to you? What does mind flow mean to you? And there was a theme of the answers, and yet some of them were like, oh yeah, no, that's what this means. That's what it means to me. Very totally different. And that's the beauty of having other people that are in your field or your base, but they talk a different, they speak with a different voice. I am so grateful that you are here, because we can hear what you do to make a difference in the world.
Yes, I love it.
So tell us what you do and
Tell
kind
us
of
your story. Yeah.
snippet. You know, guys, we're not trying to sell something. We're not trying to, we're not here pitching anything, but she's got some good stuff that you may want to look into. So go for it.
Yeah. So I do personal growth coaching. My focus is mindset, mental health, and addiction. So I work with individuals who have been through rehab, been through or mental health type programs, and they are seeking that additional support afterwards. Carol mentioned that a little bit earlier and stated that we go through these programs and then we're out on our own. And it is so true. And up in a family that struggled with mental health and addiction, that's really where my passion stemmed from, to specialize in this specifically. Witnessing my family members go through that. One in particular went to rehab, was sober for X amount of time, and then relapsed. And I really saw that there was a need to have that additional support afterwards, to work with someone in real time as they're living their life and navigating their new self. And I found that as you're working with them and triggers come up, you're there to walk them through it. You're there to help them figure out the root of that trigger, so that they can either work through it so it no longer is a trigger for them, or they can learn how to respond to it instead of acting and grabbing the bottle or whatever it is that they're choosing to react immediately, instead of pull back a little bit and focus on what it is that they're what's happening internally.
Right.
And then I also
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, we've all heard the stories of people that are in and out, in and out, in and out of rehab. I have some friends, and their oldest son, they send him to great places, biblically based places, but he would come out and fall again and such. So that, that is hard. It's very hard as a parent, because you put the guilt on yourself. But I have a question. You said bottle. So what addictions do you work with?
I work with all addictions. It could be alcohol, it could be substance, it could be gambling.
What was that last?
I believe I said gambling.
Gambling. Okay.
Workaholics. I think addiction, they're all the same in the aspect that they're hiding something. They're just putting a band-aid by grabbing the bottle, grabbing the pills, grabbing, sitting at the slot machine, grabbing the food in your guys' case.
Right.
And what is that deeper root? Sometimes they think they know, sometimes they do know, and sometimes they don't know. There's something deeper that they don't even know or have uncovered for themselves.
Yeah,
so it's really helping them
so deep, and then they think they've done it. And
exactly.
It's like you go on vacation and you think that's real life, but then you have to come back to your real life. And you go off like to a camp, for lack of a better word in my brain at the moment, and you're in this sequestered place where they tell you everything you need to do. They monitor everything you have, that you're in a safe space, and then you're thrown back in to the same place that put you there in the first place, oftentimes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right.
And so that I just think what you do is so needed.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I think so many people, there's the stigma of and that's one of the things that I kind of deal with a little bit, is like, what's wrong with me that I can't get this under control?
Mm.
And then it's the name, the internal name calling, what's wrong with me. And so when people can get in touch with that, there's nothing wrong with you. So let's get that out of the way. But there's nothing wrong with you. But how do you want to proceed? And because sometimes the treatment is not I mean, this is kind of like out for me. Just, do you find sometimes the treatment is not quite the right one, and you have to try different things because everybody is different?
It is 100% true. I was talking to a treatment center, one of their representatives, and she had told me, I'm going to try to remember the statistics, that there's, I think, 15 million people in the US that are in recovery. Only 8 million of them choose a 12-step type program. The rest are seeking alternative solutions.
Wow. Well, and I was on a call this morning, a meet and greet. I was at a meet and greet today and ran into somebody that said that the main source for addictions and such, that there's only, and I literally wrote it down, I think it's an 8% recovery rate.
Yeah.
I mean, it was minuscule. I was really quite surprised. 12% effectiveness. And some people say it's even lower. 12%. And
Yeah.
so that just goes to enforce the fact that you're needed. What you do is needed.
It's like one day I was doing some research on aging and midlife things. And one of the and I couldn't even tell you where I read it, but they said, like, at any given time in the US, it happened to be about men, and I'm not picking, but just this statistic happened to be men, is that at any given time there's like 11 million men who are depressed in this country.
Well, and
how
think
are
what
they
it was like
how
this
are
last 2
they
years.
handling it?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And how are they handling it? Some of them are handling it through nutrition. Some of them are handling it through drugs, alcohol, and some of them are handling it through suicide. Isn't that a sad statistic?
So have you noticed in the last couple of years, the number of people have gone up as we were sequestered away and not able to be social and stuff?
Yes.
We're social beings, and thank God for Zoom. I tell our people a lot of times, this is like when the women would get the kids off to school, and not that we're a woman only channel, we have men too, but they'd get the kids off to school and they'd sit around, have a cup of coffee and solve each other's problems, or help people find a way or an option, and just somebody's shoulder to cry on. And it was just kind of a sacred little thing that women did. And then they'd go home, and if it was ironing day or washing day or whatever day it was.
Oh yeah.
And
day for everything.
Yeah. And then also they would get together, sometimes waiting on the kids to come home from school. They weren't sitting in a line in their car by themselves, because it was safe for the kids to walk home. And so they would meet up at whatever house and wait for the kids to all come through the door, and do the same thing in the afternoon. And we lost it long before the shutdown, because the women ended up having to go to work. But then we realized how important it was when we got shut down, because they didn't even have the water cooler or the friends at work to bounce things off of. And so they were just, and most of them did not know about Zoom. Barbara and I did, because we'd already been doing things with Zoom long before the shutdown. But, thank God for Zoom, that people can still connect. It's not the same as hugging somebody's neck, but it helps. It helps that face-to-face
The interaction. It's I think it's the interaction.
You know, I mean, children, I forgot this was years ago. I heard this that a child born that year would never know what it was like to talk to somebody without a face. Because even then, you could talk to your grandmother on the phone. They didn't have Snapchat and stuff, but there was the picture that went with her phone number and stuff. The image,
Mhm.
and so they had no clue what it was like to look at something without a face. But then we had to shut down. So
Yeah. So yeah, we had a guest on the other day that she had smile masks. And she said that's such a difference of people that are hard of hearing,
mhm.
how that impacted how their mental focus,
Yeah,
their
they
mental,
were clear, so you
they
could
were,
see their lips move and read their lips.
yeah. So, wow. Yeah. So how did, I know you told your story of, you're younger, but what was the final, just like, oh, I've just got to do this.
Yes.
Well, I kind of stumbled into it.
Okay.
I'm in Las Vegas now. I'm originally from the Midwest, Northern Illinois. So I was there. I went to college. I got my degree in graphic design. I had an internship right out of college with a nonprofit, and I worked there for about 8 months and decided that I wanted to move to Las Vegas. So in 2014, I moved out here to Las Vegas. I started applying for graphic design jobs. I got a lot of interviews. I seemed very likable, and I kept getting the same response, which was, oh, we're going to go with someone who has more experience. So I was getting really frustrated. I ended up just getting a job at a coffee shop. And I believe that everything always happens for a reason. So I get a job at this coffee shop, and another employee there was also a graphic designer. And so one day she jokingly said that we should start our own business. So I took her seriously, and we started in 2016 a graphic design and marketing business. Fast forward, we stumble into NLP, neuro linguistic programming, which is the science and study of human behavior.
Right.
And we decide to start studying it for our design business to learn how people process information, how they are communicating, so that we can learn the psychology of language and use it in our marketing. So that's how I got into it. And so I'm going through this program, and I'm realizing as I'm going through it, I'm thinking I'm using this for marketing. I'm discovering that I could be using it to help people who are stuck, who are struggling, who are having a really tough time. And it's bringing up past things of family members struggling through their mental health, through their addictions. And I'm thinking about them, and I'm like, wow, if I would have known this then, I could help them through this.
Mm.
So in November of 2019, it kind of just smacked me in the face. And I decided, hey, this is where I need to be at. This is what I need to be doing. This is my calling. And so I had a talk with my partner. Luckily, I had a really great partner, and she was going through this NLP journey with me. And I had a talk with her, and I said, hey, this is what I want to be doing. And she was on board. We separated. She's still running the business. She's still using NLP for marketing. And I started my coaching business January 2020. I got my first client within 2 weeks of opening. And I knew that was my sign that I made the right decision and I was on the right track. Then March 2020 happens. The world shuts down.
Yeah.
And just like everyone else, I turned to Zoom, I turned to social media, I turned to all my contacts that I had built over the past 4 years in my marketing business. And I reached out to every single one of them. And I said, hey, I'm no longer doing design, I'm doing coaching. This is what I'm doing. Who do you know? Who can you connect me with? And that's how I continued to grow when the world was shut down.
Yeah.
That's good. That is a great story.
That's a
I love
great
hearing
story.
that. Yeah.
And and it comes back to what we talked about before is choice.
Mhm.
You could have said, what am I going to do? Woe is me.
Or stayed at your
Or,
job.
or you could have stayed at your job, you
Yep.
know, because of the security.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just
But you know,
over broke.
that's just over broke, right? But when you do that, it stymies you.
Mhm.
It really does. Like I look back on some of the things that now, I mean, I just love what I do. It's a joy to wake up in the morning to be able to help people
Yeah.
to either get their mental things together or to get their physical things together,
Yeah.
you know, or their financials. And, you know, everybody works on something differently at the different time. It's like being addicted to something. You have to work on whatever it is that you're going to work on when you need to work on it. You can't work on everything at once.
Mhm.
Well, Keith and I have had a ministry for many years, and we deal in a lot of these from a spiritual aspect, but I always likened it to a tapestry. And if you can think of those tapestry blankets, we don't have a lot of tapestries hanging around our houses. So well, at least not in Texas. But
Yeah.
anyway, but those blankets that they had with the picture woven in it, just with the threads going back and forth, but you can't rip those. They are very strong, but you can take them and unravel them thread by thread. And sometimes you can get so far on a thread, and then you have to come pull another thread before you can get this one to loose. So if this is an addiction, sometimes you have to pull this other thread to loosen it enough to get that out. And that doesn't always happen in a 6 week off at a camp or however long they go. And so that's where your hand holding and your further teaching and further walking with them help them to unroll, to ravel out the tapestry.
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things is that people, they're like, well, oh, you know, I've only done this since I was this age.
Mhm.
But so much of what we're dealing with now as adults came from the fact when we were 5, 6, 7,
Mhm.
And
Yep.
sometimes even before birth.
and even maybe
Yep.
before that.
Yep.
Yeah. And they don't handle it. They don't. It's like with me, I work with baby boomers who are facing retirement, and they have no idea of who they are outside of their job title
Mhm.
or their job description.
Mhm. And some of them are trapped there.
Some
Even
of them,
they're young baby boomers, and they really have come to detest what they do.
right?
Or they got shut down and the company went out of business. So now they're at a loss. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, what do I do now? And so they take to the bottle or they take to the pills. Or
Yeah.
my husband, he was on 23, and Rachel doesn't even know this, but he was on 23 prescriptions.
Mhm.
23, and we're talking custom compounded codeine and morphine and things that were so high they had to be custom compounded, and it all came from a broken back, and it was all legal. But it doesn't make it any better I guess it makes it better on your body, because I hear they're lacing codeine with fentanyl on the street.
Mhm.
So I guess it's better that it was from a pharmacy, but not much.
Yeah.
Not much. But
Yeah.
and now he's down to 2 prescriptions, and he's off all those really hard things. And that was
Good.
$1,000 a month out of our pocket just for legal drugs. There's no telling what it would have been on street value. We never tried to find out. But and that was hard, and we weaned him off of them actually rather quickly with some nutritional changes as some different products came into our hands. But that's why I say so often those things are also tied to your diet, to your nutrition intake, because we don't realize what our nutrition's like in this country now or other
Yeah.
countries. But
Mhm.
and it's hard, and then the depression sets in, and the lack of
Right.
value because you can't do what you did. He was a contractor, and they said he'd never work again. He did for 10 years and finally did have to quit. And so then, I mean, he really took a nosedive then because of the self-value. And Barbara's met him. He's got
He's a
good
sweetie.
self-esteem, so and very active, but he's
But
not on all those drugs. And he's not
yeah.
in the pain either that he was in. So
So Rachel, how do people get in touch with you?
yes.
What would be the best way?
The best way would be to go to my website. It's empoweringgrowthcoach.com. You can find all my social media handles to connect with me there. You can find my phone number and email if you would like to reach out to me that way.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Well,
Yeah.
guys,
Because you work with family members too, so that's good.
yeah, put it in the chat, any questions you have for Rachel or you have for Barbara or me, because we'll all have access to be able to answer those questions right here in the chat. If you want a private message, reach out and say, I need a private message. So that's something we will do our best to take care of. And please share this with your friends, because everybody knows somebody that needs this. So she was just saying she built her business on referrals, and as entrepreneurs, we're big on referrals. So reach out, put it in the chat, and we will put her information in the show notes. So yeah, but Rachel, it's great to meet you, and it is true that there was just an instant connection with you. So thank you so much, and thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, because not everybody has a wife like me to walk them out of it. And I will say, just it may be wiser in your life to hire Rachel, to reach out to her and ask, what can I do? How can I do?
Right.
Because it's not always where a wife or a husband can help. They may not have the tools in their toolbox to answer those questions, to deal properly with and don't feel guilty. I mean, you cannot feel guilty. Yes, it's your choice. But then sometimes those choices are hard. When your back gets broken and the doctors say you need this and you will be on it all your life. And so you go to friends that are doctors, not ones you're paying, and they say, oh yeah, you'll never get on this. And then it causes 2 heart attacks and a quadruple bypass. They say, oh, you'll be on these for the rest of your life. No, not necessarily. Listen to your body.
Yes.
Get some good help, somebody that will walk with you on the hard days and on the easy days.
Yes. That's so powerful, Carol. Thank you.
Yeah. So Rachel, thank you so much for coming on.
Yes.
This was, it is such a needed subject.
Yes.
So
yes, y'all reach out.
We don't hear enough about it.
Yeah, we don't.
So.
We don't.